Namaste. Welcome to Sipping on Stories podcast. I'm your host Irene, and this is where we welcome women healers and spiritual leaders from all around the world to come and share their journeys and their experiences with us. And of course, we do them over warm cups and deep thoughts. For those who have been enjoying our podcast episodes so far, thank you so much for showing your love. And for those who are new to this channel, welcome. Please like and subscribe so we can continue sharing this love. Thank you. Hi, Mansha. Namaste. Welcome to Sipping on Stories. It is so great to have you on the show. And I know that we have had a little chat just before getting into our podcast, and it's been really intriguing, and you've kind of intrigued my curiosity as I was talking to you, and I felt like you have immense knowledge and wisdom that you can share with us today, and you of course comes with years and years of experience that you've had as a past life regression therapist and other healing modalities that you were into. So with that, tell us where you're joining us from today.
Hello, Serene, and thank you so much for calling me on. And yes, it was a wonderful chat with you. I am joining you from Hyderabad, India.
Right. And it's a beautiful city. And thank you again, coming on to this show really. And you are a past life regression therapist. So tell us, Mansha, what it is like to be a past life regression therapist. And first of all, I believe that everyone who's into some sort of alternative healing have had their own struggles, their own journey to get to where they are. So what was your life story?
Very true, Serene. Actually, I was really intrigued by Brian Weiss. That was about 12 years ago, 2011 and 12, when I started reading his books. But I just read them and put them away. Very fascinating. And I was facing a few issues in relationships at the time, and I really wanted answers. But it was still okay. It was going on, managing. So I was just taking it into my stride. By that time, I was already an alternative therapist. I was working in IT. And once I left that, I was, working as a life coach, as a mindfulness teacher, meditation, things like that. So alternative therapy was my forte. And what brought me here was in 2020, there was, you can say, a big knock on the door, or, it was a push down a cliff. That kind of really rattled me.
Hmm.
And I realized for so long I've been stringing along with a few people, which were concerns in my life. But that kept repeating certain kind of people in other areas as well. There were a few, you can say, friendships or associations which also started behaving in a similar fashion. This was over a period of years,
Hmm.
quite a long time, about say 20 years,
Yeah.
and which was never there before you can say I got married. When you're in your parents and you're a lot of sheltered and protected, though you're working, that atmosphere is different. But when it has to start, it does,
Hmm.
this way or that. And when I got that jolt, it was really, over my head. And somebody suggested me, a friend, that have your past life regression done.
Hmm.
And fascinatingly, that therapist is based in Bangalore,
Right.
and we could do that online. And in the 3 days, it again and again brought me back to the same conclusion. Like if you avoid this or run away from this or escape from this, it is going to repeat in other areas of your life. So
Hmm.
why not, complete this?
Yeah.
And I realized till then I was always waiting for somebody to step up to me, because the Indian system is patriarchal. They don't like bold and strong women standing on their own feet,
Hmm.
calling shots, what you want. So that is the time and she guided me really well. She said, you don't have to, wait for them to, you don't have to ask for their approval, wait for their approval, or, to please them or be. She said, I know they know that you are intelligent, you're smart, you're not like.
Hmm.
So, don't talk about it.
Hmm.
Rather stay silent. It's like you don't bother me, I don't bother you. That gray rock thing which we talk about in psychology
Hmm.
with narcissists. That's what you do. You are not, you don't project yourself so much
Yeah.
that you get attention, unnecessary attention. Neither
Hmm.
you give them, neither you get theirs. Okay, works fine.
Hmm.
And I she told me you pursue psychology and then do past life regression therapy because the
Hmm.
base of everything is psychology
Yeah.
if you see the clinical perspective, and it actually opens up a lot of arenas in your mind, in your understanding, in the way you perceive things. So till that time it was so and so many people are like this.
Hmm.
They are the demons, they are the ones who are doing this to me. But when you start learning, your vision turns the entire 360 degrees. You must have come across displeasing to them or irksome to them.
Hmm.
It can, your perception really changes.
Yeah.
So I joined psychology. I did that physically in a university here.
Hmm.
And parallelly, because since COVID, online learning has opened up hugely and tremendously. So
Yeah.
I got certified in past life regression therapy, which started from hypnotherapy
Hmm.
and level one, level two, lives between lives, your spiritual, you get to meet your spiritual teachers and counterparts,
Hmm.
and future life progression, which is also not talked about at all.
Yeah.
And I have tried, many people are not open to seeing what they can see, in
Hmm.
say in 10 years or in next three lives,
Right.
where will you be? Only a few clients have been able to go till there. Okay, I'm in Mars, I'm here, I'm there. Because
Oh,
otherwise they have never known those aspects.
yeah. That's interesting.
So yeah,
Okay. Because it's I have never heard of it either myself, because a lot of people prefer to do the past life regression because they believe that uh, the current blockages, the current struggles that they have may be coming from the past lives, and because they need to learn these lessons to get over it. But never
correct.
have I kind of seen anyone interested in finding out what happens in the future. But it is quite interesting too, because once you've completed this life, when I was reading Michael Newton's books, for example, he talks about how a soul goes into this kind of a zone where they go have like a assessment sort of a thing where you sit down to find out what you have done, and time for reflection for the soul and time for rest, and then the soul chooses what the next life is going to be in the kind of options that the soul has been given. So how does,
Given, yes.
I want to know how that works when when you work with your clients with future regret or future, how they see the future and how that works, if you can shine some light on that later on.
Yeah. You want me to talk about that now?
Yeah, sure. And I think with your life story that we were just talking about, and that kind of pushed you into this whole journey of becoming a past life regression therapist. And I
Correct.
just want to make sure that you've not missed out any of the important bits there before we jump into that.
So what I realized is, what the regression therapist made me realize is, if you escape or avoid, you're going to fall into the same traps and same patterns. And believe it or not, as you mentioned, Dr. Michael Newton, I've read Dr. Brian Weiss's works
Mm,
extensively. So whatever our actions is, and this has been proven clinically, how much ever the scientific community would defy it, that our belt of karma has to complete.
mm,
If I have done something, I will have to kind of pay for it, clear your debts, or as they say, in Game of Thrones, the Lannister always pays their debts. You are supposed to pay your debts and move on. So then, if you are escaping from one situation, it definitely comes up in other situations in your life. So
mm,
that is what brought me to understand there is no point, running away from this. Let me just go ahead. But you standing up for yourself, laying clear boundaries was very imperative, which I
mm,
was not doing. because the system is too patriarchal. They expect you to be good, nice, smiling, and then not even telling what you're feeling bad
Yeah.
about, things
Mm.
like that. So then that really helped, both the psychology, the past life regression, because I did mine, and during that course they make you regress yourself also.
Mm.
And then you are supposed to have as many clients and submit those assignments, and then the interview is taken, and only then you're certified.
Yeah.
So that went very well. In future lives, as you're telling, not many could see because they weren't aware. It's a quite, as you said, novel concept. But this particular module had future lives, also lives between lives, and our spiritual lives also, where we meet our masters, ancestors, guides. So in future, most of the questions we don't ask, like I have tried, but they were not able to say 10 years from now or 2050. So many were able to see themselves in different planets,
Mm.
say in Mars or Jupiter, and in very different form, uh, kind of like alien looking, but they were of, they could give the testimony. I have completed so much of learning on the earth plane
Mm.
that I have now evolved to go on other planets and experience them as well. It has been vice versa as well. Many have come from the other planets who are making a global change here
Mm.
to bring or uplift the humanity, its evolution, its consciousness. So it goes both ways.
Mm. It is quite fascinating. Yeah. Okay. All
Yes.
right. And you are practicing as a past life regression therapist. So what it is like in your day-to-day kind of, when you do work with clients, what kind of toll does it take on yourself, as because you work with energy, right? What
Correct.
kind of personal experience have you had on your own? Have you, and I'm pretty sure when you kind of expose yourself to this side of things, there are both good and bad things exist. And what kind of experiences have you had, whether bad or good? And I'm interested in knowing some of your clients' experiences, if you can share, and just blow our minds, because you already kind of, it's quite interesting topic. So yeah, go ahead.
Great. So, see, luckily, because I have been an alternative therapist and a Reiki grandmaster and an energy works healer. So, and you won't believe, Serene, they're integrating all of this in your regular counseling interventions today. Things like grounding, things like disconnecting from the client or the patient, because it does affect your energy, right? You might get overwhelmed, you might get too emotional, but if you start, say, crying when the client is sharing its deepest, darkest, and really painful, hurtful memories or happenings, and if you start going down the stream, you are not going to help the client. You're not supposed to start, how do you say, floating down the river with them, because you won't be able to help them. They're looking at you for help,
Mm.
so you can't just start straying away with them. So you're supposed to keep your balance and cool, keep an objective mind. But after the session, be it a regression therapy or a counseling practice, it starts building on your nerves, because your active mind and your conscious mind starts thinking about it. Oh my God, how could this happen? It is
Mm.
so, it's quite, it becomes quite heavy to
Mm.
take it sometimes. So then a lot of clearing work is done, grounding is done. You go take a walk, do a lot of breath work. You release. You have to talk to your own mind, being a counselor or a regression therapist yourself. This is not you. You don't have to identify. You've done your job well with the client,
Mm.
supporting that client, showing the client the way and solutions. And because unless you do that, you won't be able to help the client.
Mm.
That is
Yeah.
what we have to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And it's a hard path, right? It's not an easy path that you've chosen for yourself, or the universe has chosen for you, because you need to constantly keep in check of your own energy, your own thoughts, making
Correct.
sure that you're on the right path so you can guide your clients on the right path. And as you said, grounding, as you said, how can you do grounding is just connect with nature, go out for a
Right.
walk, sit in the nature and absorb.
Walk barefoot. Yes, of course.
Yeah,
Just, silence your mind. Just listen to the music, the birds, the trees, the rustle. Look up to the sky, and momentarily you have to really blank your mind and absorb all the nature's energies, as you said. Otherwise, this emotional transference, yours to the client or the client's to you, is going to happen any which ways.
yeah,
Then you're supposed to release all that.
yeah. Understand. That's quite interesting. And what are some of the most fascinating client stories that you've come across in your experience?
Now, there was a client once who had this nagging pain in the back. How she described was the center back right side. And when she checked with the doctor, with the lab, she had the screening done. Actually, there was nothing.
Hmm.
And this suddenly manifested, and she had been, going on and off about for, I would say, around 6 to 8 months.
Hmm.
It would suddenly shoot up, or it would have been like a dull nagging pain. So she's like, I have, and then it went to a point when it became unbearable. So all they could give her was, some things to relax her, or painkillers, which were also of less help. Or you do a lot of hot compresses, cold compresses,
Yeah.
things like that, and ointments to soothe the area. She did all of that. She did, soaking in the tub with salt water therapy and the ice bucket challenge and God knows what not. Poor thing, she had done all of that, and then a friend advised her. She had taken a session with me.
Yeah.
She had had a different experience, but she was able to associate this could be something related to her past life because this was never there. And this is a problem which is not getting diagnosed
Hmm.
by our normal methods. So she came in, and in multiple lifetimes, at least 2 to 3, in one lifetime, she was shot there. This was during World War II. She was a soldier. But
Hmm.
at that point, there were several bullets, fired upon. Like, she was killed by shooting.
Hmm.
That's understood. So that must have been one or two bullets here or there. But at that location was 2 or 3 bullets had gone.
Oh my. Hmm.
One was that. And in another, she went back even further, I think of 14th or 15th century, where she was again, kind of stabbed with a sword, very close to that point. You can say a few millimeters apart. But that entire area, that throbbing pain,
Hmm.
was from those lines. And there was one more. I don't recall that now, but these
Yeah.
two are prominent on my mind.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So then we did a lot of releasing that you
Hmm.
are not the soldier anymore. And you can, they also, the therapy is such that you can call upon your guides if the person is, believes in those. And spiritually and medically, they can remove the bullets. That area is now clean, the wound has healed, and you're now, going ahead. And when she came out from the session, the first one,
Hmm.
half of the pain was gone, the bullets one. The next day we explored the thing where the sword stabbing came. I think the remaining most of it, 90% came out, and there was a 10% still residual energy, which took yet another session. I think something else came up at that time. I think she had an abusive mother who used to pinch her, or really twist after pinching. So that was several areas in the back, but because this was already a pain area and a pain spot already taken a lot of negative heat,
Hmm.
uh, this this was the remaining 10% now that I can, recall.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
then all of this in these 3 days, it reduced and it nearly disappeared. That 1 or 2% she realized, okay, it's in my mind, I need to let this go. So I told her,
Hmm.
yeah, you need to let. She could come to that conclusion herself. She's like, I'm
Wow.
feeling light, very light twitch, or a prick. It is still there, but maybe it is my mind. She could, figure that out herself without, rather than me telling. I was trying before I could. I'm like, good, see, that.
Hmm.
But she released that, and in another day or two, she was really grateful and thankful that it went away.
That's such an amazing story, and I can really resonate with what you said. And, when I think about this, it is so important that we are mindful of our actions, our words, because everything is because it's like Newton's third law, right? Every action is going to have an
Yeah.
equal and opposite reaction. So karma works the same
True.
way. And how interesting it is that our bodies are so intelligent, and they can react and feel to certain information stimuli that's outside in our environment, and they remember, and it stores it in our body, and of course in our subconscious as well, where it then manifests into our body. If do correct me if I'm wrong in that statement. And
Oh, that's true.
yeah, and it's interesting and wonderful that what past life regression therapy can do, because you are literally tapping into the person's subconscious memories, where that trauma is sitting, and healing that. So, and that's quite interesting. And do you have any other client story that you can share with us today?
So there have been many relationship issues where they go through a lot of abuse, or where the partner is cheating, has
Mm,
multiple affairs. So, very, I would say, surprisingly, they say that they have done the same in the other lifetime.
mm,
Not the same, say it a relationship, or say it, uh, I mean, say it an abuse in a relationship, or you can say an affair, or any kind of thing. So you must have done something in your previous lifetimes which has accumulated, and now it needs to start releasing. So you've kind of chosen this. So they also, at the end of it, where we take them to the death experience and what the soul realizes, they are able to see that they have chosen this to complete this cycle. Otherwise, it's an unending cycle. Like, you're giving me pain in this lifetime, I am giving you pain in the other, and so forth.
yeah.
So, for some people who really undergo very badly, very harshly, but their minds are so blocked, they're not able to see or understand. It's their choosing.
Mm,
Unless they open up to that fact, they are not going to be able to do anything much. And you can't do anything much with such people.
mm,
But as they realize they have done similar things in the past, there was a husband. uh, it is a very unusual case. Most of them, we see the men are cheating, but here the wife was cheating.
yeah.
And when he took this, he realized that he was the one in the previous lifetimes. He was the spouse, he was the husband, he was a man again, but he was a floundering and a philanderer, and having multiple affairs,
Mhm.
or not wanting, not caring about the wife.
Mm,
And this was either a wife or the mother being abusive at the same time, because this goes hand in hand quite a
mm,
few times.
mm,
So, then a friend this time is this wife's friend. That this all, you start identifying the people because they've taken roles to help you down your karmic path.
yeah.
So, a friend who was his friend at that time now becomes a wife's friend, who she's having an affair with. So, once he could understand that, I think slowly that ebbed away. I'm not telling the wife became a saint immediately,
Mm,
but this guy's, the state of mind and perception changed
mm,
from blaming her, or for finding excuses, or for expecting a lot out of her, commitment, and honesty and decency and the vows of marriage. He could understand how must he have, behaved with her, treated her.
mm,
So then that that feeling, which was so high, that nagging pain, started subsiding. He could see it very objectively. And
mm,
I think slowly the number of relationships reduced from the wife's end. It was multiple. Reduced, the frequency reduced, the
mm,
duration reduced. So now I think they are getting along much better. They must still be sporadic cases. That still means that that is not still finished
mm,
between them. The equation still, there's some work needed
mm,
to do.
mm,
So there are on and off cases which, he lets them be, or he acts ignorant, or he's like, okay, you do what you want to, I'll do what I
mm,
have to. But not as much as he was affected when initially he came over.
mm. That's really interesting. Thank you for sharing that. And, there's one question I was thinking about as you were, talking about these experiences is that, and, tell me what you think about this, is just kind of, when I think about this a lot, or even in my own kind of environment that I'm in, and having experiences with people and understanding from a spiritual level, we get put into a family. We have a mother, a father, our siblings, right? And these are our immediate family. We get put into this family either because they are our soul tribe, they are our soul family, or because there's a karmic lesson that we need to learn, or we need to learn something um, that is kind of in us. It's not that there's karma just because this person, just because I did this to this person last life, I'm kind of repaying that debt in this life, but it's also because we have to learn some lessons ourselves. Is that right?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Quite a much of it is right. But what I have learned to understand, because I have been, learning, reading, I've had so many mentors and coaches and gurus in
Mm,
this karmic field. Every second, every thought also, that's also see mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita when Krishna says that. So by our mere thought also we make karma. Though we think something bad about so and so person, but then immediately we come to realize that okay, we shouldn't think so. But your action is not done. But in
mm,
the thought plane, the ball has started rolling. Maybe it'll pause, it'll stop, but your thought has still gone. You see, we are all of us are not that elevated at this time, that we can control our thoughts to such a huge degree, unless
mm,
you become a sannyasi or a recluse. So we have a soul family in our blueprint. We are given a plan. What do you want to work on in this life? Who do you want to choose as parents? So the tough lessons which you need to learn are also the same lessons which you need to pay off your debts of your previous lives. But they're also supporting people in your soul tribe who will help you, who will push you, who
mm,
will keep prompting you to,
mm,
do this. They must be teachers, friends, the spouses sometimes, the children that who prompt, let it be, let it go. You don't have to get so angry or so. You don't have to get worked up. My kids do that. And suddenly I'm like, okay, I have an alternative view. Why to go all Martian all the time? Let me not take that flag and like, it's okay, chill, calm. Let's see what, you know,
mm,
unfolds. But most of it is connected to our karmic journey, this way or that. So the friends who support you are angels in disguise because they want you to complete the path.
mm,
This is also in the unseen realm, where they say you have your spirit guides and your angels and your guardian angels. So where you keep getting, how do I say, hints, or
mm,
where do you keep getting that intuitive insight or that sudden thought in the mind, where you're
mm.
supposed to stop, don't take a left, go
Yeah.
straight, where you can avoid an accident maybe. So these are nudges or prompts. So these all work in the physical plane as well as the plane which we can't see.
Yeah. Can our guardian angels or spirit guides take human forms?
Sometimes they do if they're they choose to, and then they have enough people they have chosen, maybe 10, 12, 50, where they are in their lives connected this way or that.
Hmm.
We can say the gurus, or the people who hold very large audiences, the spiritual gurus mostly, who give a lot of preachings and pravachans.
Hmm.
They are actually, because why do people get so attracted, they want to attend this weekly and online and follow the guru's path and the dictum. They are kind of chosen, see, because they can really hold masses. They
Hmm.
have the power of speech attraction which can hold and sway your mind, and you have chosen that so you can get impressed by them and
Hmm.
imbibe those qualities. So they are a form of angels. Maybe lower angels, higher. Let's not go there. But they
Hmm.
are a form of angels.
Yeah.
They are taken birth, so they can, hold so many people together.
Hmm. Yeah. And in this space, it would be safe to say that every soul kind of chooses what life they take and what family they choose in order to learn the lessons they need to learn in this life, and then they move on to the next one. So I think that's it is quite interesting, right? When you kind of, because our human mind can only perceive and think so many things to an extent, but these things are beyond a human mind to kind of even digest
Correct.
and ingest. So I would, really prompt my listeners to really, go ahead and read, read certain books. If this is the kind of uh, topic that has kind of intrigued your curiosity, I would recommend that you go and read the book that Mansha you just shared about. If you can tell our viewers and listeners what was the book that they can get started and kind of getting into this and learning more about this.
Start reading Dr. Brian Weiss's books. Because that whole, I think there are about 5 or 7 books. That whole journey, how he, regressed a regular patient, and that patient occasionally happens to go in some another life. So he keeps on and on. And for him at that time, I think it was in the 80s, if I remember well,
Hmm.
and nobody stumbled upon this. And he was really, because he had all the tapes and all the writings as he continued to write the client's recordings,
Hmm.
and the client was able to come out of so many issues, health issues, relationship, and so on and so forth. Eventually he, really put in a lot of courage and effort and brought this out, which was a huge thing at that time. And as you said, Michael Newton's books, I have read maybe articles, not as much, but I've really been impressed with Dr. Brian Weiss's works.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a huge kind of area and segment, and it has definitely kind of and kind of intrigues my curiosity all the time. And sometimes I even pick out a book and read it over again, even if I've read it, because it's so interesting to kind of know what actually goes on. Because from a young age, I come from an Indian background as well, and though I've not been very religious, or my family has not been very religious from the beginning, but I have been in presence of a lot of religious people around me as I was growing up. And we have, I have, watched many documentaries, life after death. And
Yes.
you will believe me, but I was seeing this documentary where they're taking this body, a dead body, to the graveyard to bury the body, and they show that how that person has been reincarnated to be a dog, because that person was not praying religiously, that person was not obeying, or just kind of being into substance abuse, and so many things, right? And that kind of, I was like, that's very interesting, because I feel like sometimes it's a very sore topic, but I feel that religion is there to kind of help us bring that devotion to the divine and help us evolve spiritually. But rather than that, with what I was seeing was instilling fear in many people. So
Yes.
yeah, and you're agreeing, right? And when I came across these books where they talk about what happens to a soul, what happens to us, what is a soul journey like after death, and that kind of opened my eyes, and I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy. And all these years, there's so many things out there that make you believe, make you fear. And one thing I would kind of also like to tell is, from my perspective, is religion is meant to bring love and peace, not fear. So anything that
Actually,
brings
not
fear
yet.
is
Yeah. But then if you say religion is only dividing and creating more and more divides, so I would say spirituality is what should bring people together, because religions are always going to be different. The caste, creed. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree. Look, I will openly say I was born into a Muslim family, but I've been spiritual and all my life. And, it has been a blessing where I was not forced to kind of follow a religion that way. So I was blessed. And when I say my family, especially me and my sister, we are devotees of Lord Shiv. And we
Great.
do we do feel the presence of other deities. We celebrate Hindu festivals. We kind of are drawn to it. And that's kind of weird because we're born into a Muslim family, and the family that we are born, we are not even allowed to wear bindis, and it's
Exactly. Who would expect you? Yeah, the
yeah.
culture is quite strong and quite tight, with its rituals. Because I have so many friends, and in Hyderabad, you have the cities like that, and then many of them are very open-minded, serene. They are not so demarcated in their thoughts or so, they're not close-minded. But then there many must still also be, and that
Mm,
goes all
mm.
across the continent. Every religion, I would say.
Yeah. Well, if you talk about religion, it's going to be like a whole new topic.
It's
And
going to be yes. So topic. Let's not go there.
oh, well,
True.
it has been an interesting conversation with yourself, and thank you for really, sharing all the wisdom in your experience. And I'm really grateful for you coming onto this show, Mansha. So thank you so much. And I would love to explore more with you, uh, but I guess this is the time we have for today, and we'll have to wrap up a podcast. But I would love to do a part two with you, because there's so much more to explore in this area, in this segment. And I really hope that with this episode, our listeners and audiences, have a wider perspective, and they open up more and go research themselves as what's out there. Kind of come out of your shell, and
Yes.
yeah, go see what's out there. So anything, I'm quite passionate and kind of fascinated about these, because I've had my own experience as well, which maybe I'll share one day. But anyway, it's been great today. But before we wrap up, Mansha, do you have any final words that you want to tell our listeners? So go for it.
And first of all, a lot of gratitude to you, Serene, for calling me over. And it has been wonderful talking to you, getting to know your insights as well. And yes, definitely, I'd love to be a part of another time with you. And where would, we can really talk about our views on many subjects. And I believe I always believed, but then it actually, when it, really happens, when you start walking the path, as they say, rather than just getting impressed by what is happening. As you think, so you are, is Buddha's quote, but it actually is true. So how you think is what you will become.
Hmm.
If you're playing the victim card, you will become like that. If you are going to be a leader, you are going to be a leader. Let other people get bothered by it. That's okay. But as long as you don't harm anybody, don't, you have your work done. But it goes for diseases, for your entire personality, your mind, everything. So you can really shape your destiny. Most of it, I would say, because karma will really play out, but it'll ease your way into it.
Hmm.
So yeah, as you think, so you are the last words I would like to say.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for calling me over.
Thank you, Mansha. Are there any tools that our listeners today can maybe apply to their lives, Mansha, to make it easier for them? What are some of the tools, like practical tools, they can maybe make use of?
I would say mindfulness. Start any time in the day for a few minutes. Start with 30 seconds, start with 15 seconds, build up to a minute. Become mindful, shut down your mind. Or you also call this kind of a box breathing technique. Okay, first let me get this. So in the room, you just focus how many blue color objects are there.
Mhm.
So your vision becomes narrow. You'll count maybe two, three. Okay, fine. And then you shut down your mind again for another 10 seconds. And you can do that for two, three times. So at least your mind, which has been, jumping over across so many thoughts coming, flooding in, flooding out,
Hmm.
it gives a lot of reprieve from that. And then there's a box breathing technique. 10 seconds you breathe in, hold, 10 seconds you breathe out, hold, and another 10 seconds just hold.
Mm.
10 seconds, another, let it out. That is also a good one. Now, these two, they can keep doing on and off, apart from walking barefoot on the ground and the grass, as we said.
Yeah.
Because that, at least daily, we can do that. A lot of our energy is really balanced.
Yeah.
You don't fall off the wagon so easily.
Mm. Mm. Amazing. Thank you so much for that. And with that, again, I would love to thank you for coming on Sipping on Stories and sharing your knowledge and wisdom. It was an eye opener and quite fascinating. So thank you, Mansha.
Thank you so much. A lot of love and support to you.
Yeah.
Bye.